Hey, what's up? First off, the update comes from Ryuga Gotoku's studio and touches both Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. And the main headline is that it makes some of the more annoying progression blockers actually stop blocking progression, which is the exact kind of patch people want when they're trying to finish a chapter, and the game refuses to cooperate. The patch was rolled out as part of the official release notice, and reporting on it points to the update being pushed on February 20 to 21st, 2026, KED. So players who installed the patch over those days should see the fixes go live. Let's start with the big story fixing stuff, because that's what will frustrate you most if you hit it. There was a nasty issue in Chapter 9 where loading a save made while your character was in Purgatory caused the in-game time to switch to night on load. And that night setting then prevented a key event, the Find the Limousine style trigger, from spawning, effectively halting the main story. The studio has patched the underlying cause so that loading those saves no longer forces the wrong time of day. And they specifically noted that if players were still stuck after applying the patch, saving and loading from Kamurocho will restore normal story flow. That workaround came straight from the developers' messaging about the update. Another related hiccup lived in Downtown Ryukyu. If you triggered another event while you were on the Okinawa Soba delivery substory, it could break that substory's progression. That has been corrected in this build, which means those side missions should now progress properly, even if you accidentally overlap triggers or wander into something else mid-delivery. These kinds of interleaved event bugs are small in isolation, but massive in annoyance when they hit. So this fix should improve the overall flow for people who like to jump between main and side content. On the bonus game side, the patch addresses a Chapter 2 problem in Dark Ties, where finishing the Trial of Demise in survival hell for the first time could prevent further advancement. That one's a classic, you beat the thing and the game forgets what to do next scenario, and the update applies the necessary logic to allow progression to continue normally after the trial. It's the kind of bug that can leave a player staring at a menu wondering whether they somehow missed an item or an NPC, so it's good to see that sequence explicitly handled. Beyond story fixes, the patch bundles a few important stability and quality of life improvements that affect both games. One of the more dramatic reports from players was a crash that could occur if someone placed a very large bet at the casino roulette. The patch prevents that crash. Localization and subtitle text received polish, small wording changes that help clarity and immersion, and a range of stability tweaks were applied, including fixes for performance drops that happened when certain minigames were played repeatedly under specific conditions. The update notes also mention several Steam-specific stability adjustments, so PC players should see fewer platform-related hiccups as well. Those combined fixes aim to protect both long play sessions and those moments when you're grinding a minigame over and over. I want to call out one practical thing for save scumming players. If you had a save stuck in the problematic state before installing the patch, you don't necessarily need to throw that file away. After applying the update, moving to Kamurocho and doing a save load cycle is the recommended action to restore normal behavior for the Chapter 9 issue. That means you can salvage most runs rather than abandoning them, which is great for anyone deep into their playthrough. The developer explicitly mentioned that course of action has an immediate mitigation for affected players. Now, for context on how these things tend to happen. Complex open-world titles with lots of interleaving events, time-of-day triggers, and optional content often have state machines that rely on very particular flags. A save loaded at the wrong trigger point can flip a flag like is nighttime, and if another script expects is daytime to be true to spawn an event, the event simply doesn't run. The fixes in this patch are mostly about hardening those transitions, so the game checks for the right conditions and recovers from odd states. That's a boring technical explanation, but it's exactly why these fixes are meaningful. They reduce the number of times the player has to troubleshoot by restarting or consulting forums. As for platform rollout, the patch was noted across several reporting outlets and the storefront announcements, so it's broadly available across platforms that the game supports. If your client hasn't pulled it yet, a manual check for updates or restarting the launcher will usually force the download. I'll wrap this up by saying the update is the kind of maintenance patch that quietly improves a lot of players' experiences without adding new content. And while some of the fixes are narrowly targeted, they fix very painful stops in story flow and stability. Enjoy the smoother runs, and if you record any of the weird pre-patch glitches for posterity, they'll make for a tasty comparison to show just how much the game improves when those state issues are resolved.